Now that we've made our tables, we need to next make our graphs. In my class, I'm most of the time going to ask you to just make a graph of the averages. So in order to do that, some people like to just highlight the two things that they're going to put on the table, so their labels and then the averages. And then they try to do an insert chart, and then things go badly. It doesn't work out so well. Other times people are like, well, I just want the averages, and so they'll do an insert chart, and if you do it this way, you won't have your axes set up right. And so in order to do this right, you need to do what I call is making a throwaway table. And that's just a table that we're going to make in order to help us with our graph that we're going to get rid of or throw away when we're done. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to copy all of the labels from our independent variables, so the seasons. We're just going to set it off to the side somewhere. This is where our throwaway table is going to be. We need to do the same thing with our averages since that is what we're graphing. But be careful, because if you just paste this now, you're going to get probably an error message or numbers that aren't right. And that's because inside of these boxes is a formula, not a number. Don't think of it as the number 13.3. Think of it as this equation. And so when I paste it up here, it's trying to do the same equation. But now that you've moved it somewhere else on the page, it's trying to do the equation with boxes next to it that are blank or have words in it, and it's just not going to work. So instead, what we need to do is we are going to copy those boxes from the average, and we're going to right-click. On your Chromebook, that's clicking with 2 fingers. So we're going to right-click, and we're going to go down to Paste. Where did I go? Paste Special. And once we go into Paste Special, the very first choice is Values Only. That way we're going to get the numbers. It's thrown all those decimal places on there again. We don't have to get rid of those because we're going to throw this table away when we're done. We don't care that it's kind of messy looking. So now that we've got our throwaway table, I can highlight that whole thing, and we can go Insert Chart. And once it pulls up, it's going to, on the left side, give us, first of all, our choice for what kind of graph. So since in this experiment, my independent variable was a season, seasons don't have decimals. You can't have like winter 0.2. So in order to make the right graph, we're going to need to do a bar graph. So we're going to do that. Now it's given us our labels across the x-axis. That looks good. And then we just need to go ahead and start editing the graph as we go. But that's detail for another video. So we've made our graph. Now let's say that you were going to do an experiment where you didn't have these categories as your independent variable. Let's say that I was going to do the experiment where I gave my chickens different amounts of protein, and then I measured how many large eggs they produced. Well, it's the same kind of idea, but there's a few little differences that you need to know about. So I'm going to make my throwaway table again. I'm going to paste my labels, and then I'm going to paste my averages by doing the special, by pasting special and values only. Now if I were to make a graph of this, what's going to happen is these words kind of throw the computer off. It doesn't really know how to deal with those. So you have to take the units out for your throwaway table. So yes, this looks great on the left side. If you were going to put this into your final product, good, it's got units in it, good job. But on your throwaway table, you have to take those units out so that the graph gets made correctly. So we highlight those things, and we're going to do Insert Chart. Now this time, because we have grams on the x-axis, grams are a thing that can have a decimal. There is such a thing as 2.3 grams. And so because it could have a decimal, we need to make a line graph instead. And so now we've got everything set up, and in the next video I'm going to show you how to change all these labels and make everything look pretty on the graph.